I don't know how many people here know Cameron Rennie and how many people know David Levesque, but we thought it would be great as new Senate candidates for you to have a chance to get to know both of them. And our format is going to be 5 minutes each to introduce themselves. And then I've got a few questions I'm going to ask to help you get insights into who they are as people, and kind of formative aspects of their character. And we'll have a few minutes each after that to close. And I think that would be a great time for people who are interested in helping campaigns to let them know and find out what they need to know. If you've got something ready to pop in the chat, to let them know at the end how to join in to help you out. As with a reminder from one of our executive committee members, in the past, we've used the dates or the order by which people signed up with the Ethics Commission instead of a flip of the coin. So David will go first, having signed up, a day or two before Cameron. And interesting how this works, because Cameron announced last weekend and David's be announcing this coming weekend, but that is what we used as a guideline. So, and then as I get into the questions, I will alternate who starts first, and the same with the closing opportunity to speak. So David, you're up for introducing yourself for 5 minutes.
Great. Thank you, Chris, and thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself to the committee. So my name is David Levesque, as Chris had said. I'm a Newcastle resident. I live there with my wife, Susan, who is a teacher at Lincoln Academy. She teaches math and robotics. And we have 3 sons. Luke's the oldest, 26, and lives with us still at home and works at the Lincoln County Theater, although he has a mechanical engineering degree. We'll have to figure that one out later. And then my 2 younger ones, Austin, 17, is a senior at Lincoln Academy, and Joseph is 14, and he's a freshman at Lincoln Academy. So for the last 24 years, I've been pursuing justice for my clients through my practice of law, which I do out of my office in Damariscotta. And I'm originally from Hancock County, lived in the towns of Brooksville and city of Ellsworth. And I went off to the University of Maine at Farmington as a first-generation college student and graduated from there, then pursued a Master's of Business Administration through the University of Southern Maine. And then to round out my University of Maine system education, received my law degree from the University of Maine School of Law in Portland. So I'm running for the Maine State Senate because I think there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed to improve the lives of all Mainers, and particularly those in this district as well. But paramount among them are some issues that are very near and dear to my heart and have priority in what I want to do. And the first one is the need for universal, affordable, and accessible healthcare. Next is a proper investment in early childhood education through post-secondary education, and not just in the University of Maine system, which definitely needs support, but also in the community college system. Given the workforce challenges of today, we need to make sure that both of those institutions are well funded and accessible for anybody who wants to learn and can qualify to go there. Next is to address the devastating effects of climate change. There's just so much that goes on because of the change in the climate, and we need to at least put a stop to the damage and then try to reverse it the best we can. And then finally is a way to deal with the overwhelming disease of addiction and the intolerable number of overdose deaths that seem to be ever rising every year. So those issues need to be addressed. And I think that with my years of leadership experience and skills, that I can bring people together, no matter their party, to address some of these really basic concerns, like I've been doing in resolving disputes from my clients over the years, and my services on government, professional, education, and community boards and committees. So I do hope that I could bring that experience to address many of the critical issues of our day. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, David. And you did it in under 5. So
Good.
for that, ready to start again. All right, Cameron, introduce yourself. You have 5 minutes.
Very much for the opportunity. For those of you who don't know me, excuse me, my name is Cameron Rennie, and I was born all the way over in Wiscasset, and I grew up right here in Round Pond, where I live currently as well. I live here with my husband, Adam Rennie. You might know him from Rennie's department store. So my family does a lot in local business for sure, big on main streets. We also have 2 young boys. I have a 4-year-old named George, who is lovely and fun and on the autism spectrum. And I have a 1.5-year-old named Leon, who is delightful, although teething right now, which is its own thing. I grew up in a working class family. Money was always tight, and I definitely know how hard it is to pay the bills, even when you're working well over full time. And I think that is a big issue. Early on, I learned to work hard, both as a necessity and a point of pride, right? So I started my first job as soon as I could. It was actually a Granite Hall store down with Eric and Sarah Herndon, right here in Round Pond as well. I worked my way through college by waiting tables, and I always knew that I wanted to do something to make the world a better place than I found it, which is what brought me to being a school counselor. So I've been in education for, not all that long, maybe the last 8 or 9 years or so. And after working with all of these families and these young children, and now having young children of my own, it's just more important to me than ever that we need to build and preserve a bright future for our kids. And we need to make life more livable for our families in the area. And that's why I'm running for state senate. I really want to make life better and more sustainable for people in my district. And there's a few ways that I want to do that. I really think that we have an affordable housing crisis, and that is a major thing that I would like to work on. Everybody needs a safe place to lay their heads at night. And the more money people can have back in their pockets, the better off working families are going to be, the better off people with less money are going to be, and the better off local businesses are going to be, quite frankly, because that is what builds business, people being able to actually purchase goods and services. Quality healthcare is another very important thing to me. And this is, of course, going to include mental health care and substance abuse treatment. We have to lower the cost of prescriptions. And for example, my brother had to have a kidney transplant a number of years ago. He was about 19 when his kidney stopped working. And it just kills me that he has to make major life decisions based on the price of very expensive prescriptions. And it's just not right. And families shouldn't lose life savings just based on an accident or an illness. And of course, the environment is a major piece. We are in Maine. People come here because it's beautiful. We live off of our agriculture, our aquaculture, our fisheries. The environment is a major part of our way of life here, and we need to be doing more to preserve it. Entry amendment. Perfect. Thank you. So I have a grandmother. My grandmother was Jean Eaton. She unfortunately passed away last year, and she always strongly believed that everybody needs to give to the community. And she said it can't be delegated, and we have to give the community our time and our thought and our effort. And I've really taken that to heart. And I've donated to candidates in the past, but I think now it's time for me to be doing the work myself. And I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I can really give it my all. But I'm going to need your help to make that happen in the long run. Anyways, I've babbled long enough. What's next?
Well, I guess neither of you needed 5 minutes. But we'll have all the more time to deal with questions. So I'm gonna kill the timer so you don't have that thing go off in the middle of things. Starting then with Cameron on the first question, and then the same question to David, and then we'll do it the other way around on the next question. Think of a moment when you were growing up that was personally impactful in making you the person you are today, and tell us what you learned in that moment.
I mean, just like everybody, I think there was a lot of moments and a lot of little moments that kind of added up to it. There's a few that come to mind. So like I said, my first job, well, my first legal taxpaying job was working for Eric and Sarah Herndon down at the Granite Hall store, and they're just lovely people. But I remember one day, so my father, a couple of his demons were substance abuse and untreated mental illness for sure. And we were not in a place where that was a good place to be. And I was working down at the Granite Hall store, and I remember seeing him clearly inebriated coming towards the store and thinking to myself, oh no, here he comes, what's gonna happen? And Eric Herndon, that lovely man, told me to just go and hide in the kitchen for a minute. And I heard my father come in and get angry and raise his voice and make some threats. And Eric Herndon, that lovely, wonderful, gentle vegetarian man, very quietly and firmly stood his ground and had him leave. And he was successfully able to make him leave. And that was one of the first times I really noticed that you can be both very strong and fierce and gentle at the same time. And that's something I really took to heart. I think we need to take care of each other. And there's been lots of instances in my life where I've been fortunate enough that other people have reached out and kind of taken care of me. I remember one Christmas, my mom didn't have any money at all. And then all of a sudden one day she gets an envelope in the mail from an anonymous person that had just $200 in Damascotta dollars. Remember Damascotta dollars? I'm not sure we do it anymore. It was kind of like coupons to all of the local businesses on Main Street. But that was just the absolute difference for my family from a Christmas where we had something and a Christmas where we didn't. And just community is so important. And I was so lucky to grow up in this one, to be honest.
Thank you. David, same question. Think of a moment when you were growing up that was personally impactful in making you the person you are today, and tell us what you learned in that moment.
Well, I agree with Cameron that there's a lot, because we're not made of necessarily of always one event, but one event does come to mind. Back in 1970, I lived in Brooksville. My father worked at a mine, and we actually lived in a house owned by the mine. And the house had it didn't have an indoor toilet, I'll put it that way. So there was a room that had a 5-gallon bucket and a seat over it. And that was the extent of the bathroom. And it was my oldest brother's job, he was 13 at the time, to remove that bucket, take it out to an outhouse and dump it. So one particular day, my father came home, and typically he was drunk, and because he's an alcoholic, and there was a lot of yelling, abusive words, because my brother failed to have that emptied before he got home. And that sort of made me make a decision, if not there are other events like that, to say, I got to get out of this type of housing situation, poverty situation, and just that way of life, I guess. Even as a youngster, I'm sure I was thinking about that. But I add into that what I saw in my mother, who worked cleaning the summer cottages, taking other odd jobs, and eventually taking classes for CNA, and then earning that designation, and then becoming a licensed practical nurse, and then ultimately an RN, is that there's an example, get an education and try to improve the situation. So putting those together, I think that's what's really made my drive in life. And I started working at age 11 and raking blueberries and delivering newspapers, and worked as a dishwasher at a restaurant and a breakfast cook, and as doing seal coating for a road contracting job. And it's just made me drive to work hard to get to a place where I'm not in that type of situation. I'll put it that way. So, and fortunately enough, I've made it. And because of that, I feel that I need to give back to the community that has helped me get to where I am today.
I muted myself to avoid making extraneous noises, so I started off muted. Thank you, David. And the second question, which we'll start with you and then go to Cameron, is what aspect of living in Maine caused you to make your home here in Lincoln County?
Oh, well, the reason is that I was living in Portland and looking for a job to practicing law somewhere. And I was originally thinking I would go home to Ellsworth and get a job there or set up shop there. And I took a job opportunity in this community. And that was 24 years ago. And this community grew on me so quickly. And when we moved here, my oldest was 5 years old. And so this really is his community. And then 2 of our children were born into it. And it's just a great community. The sense of community we had, the way people deal with each other. But also, I grew up in a commercial fishing family, and we've always lived within 10, 15 miles of salt water. So that had a lot to do with keeping us here as well. And I just love this community and hope to give something back to it.
Thank you. Moving on to Cameron, the second question again. What aspect of living in Maine caused you to make your home here in Lincoln County?
I love it here. I was born here. I was raised here. All of my family's here. My community's here. Growing up here, I feel incredibly lucky to have grown up here. So many opportunities for getting outdoors, and it really does take a village to raise a kid, as I'm sure everybody knows. But on top of that, my husband's work is here. I could work anywhere, and of course I would want to give back to the community I grew up in. And we ended up having children, and if my mom didn't live a mile up the road and come and help me regularly, I don't know how I would do it, to be perfectly honest. It's a great place to be, and I have a lot of supports, and that's why I'm here.
Great. Thank you. The third question, and we'll start with Cameron. What gives you joy or satisfaction that makes the day a good day?
That's so easy. I'm so lucky. I feel very fortunate. I have a lovely partner in Adam. He's just so supportive, and we have so much fun together. And raising our kids is wonderful. They are just they're a delight to see at the end of the day. And I really love my job. Like I'm a school counselor and I am into it. I love teaching kids the skills that they need to be successful in school and successful in life later on. Like some of my best days are when I am able to work with a family and get them the supports that they need, whether that is funding for oil for their furnace, or connections to a family counselor that they can actually afford, or that is magically in their insurance network. And the skills that I teach kids about problem solving and self-regulation, and seeing them use them the next day or the next year or the next time they get in a fight with their friends, or the next time they need to make a plan for class. It's just very rewarding. I'm just lucky. I'm gonna stop bragging. I lots of things.
Thank you. Going to David. So what gives you joy or satisfaction that makes the day a good day?
Well, it depends on the day. If it's a day when I can get in my barn where I'm starting to build a little workshop, and I've been getting into wood carving and wood turning. If I could spend a day in there without dealing with the rest of the world, that's pretty good as well. It's a stress reliever for me in trying to find some creativity in my life, because as an attorney, I do have a very stressful job. But it's a very rewarding job too. And similar to Cameron, I love my job and I can't wait to get here every day to help people and to help my community. It's just amazing to see a client's transformation when they see somebody who they've explained the problem to, and to see somebody who cares and presents a plan of how we're going to deal with something. Just to know that I've helped reduce somebody's stress helps me, gives me a lot of satisfaction. And then, I've served on a number of boards, and we've had a lot of, in different organizations, and we've had a lot of challenging discussions, and seeing us all working on a problem and come into a resolution, or at least a course of action, leaves me really charged up and thinking, wow, what a meeting. And those type of interactions have given me lots of satisfaction as well. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Fourth and last question. Start with David. We live in a time when lies and intolerance have been given new license. And earlier this week, we remembered the great contributions and unfinished work of Martin Luther King. If you could change one aspect of how people treat each other today, what would that change be? And how will you incorporate that approach into your campaign?
Well, I think I think a lot of people just aren't listening to each other because they think it's a lie or something. And we need to open people's ears a lot and really find what is common, what is good with another person, and build off of that. And of course, that's going to be what I'm going to do during this campaign, is listen to people. In the course of my practice, and I helping somebody resolve a dispute, the emotions are high, and part of my job is to come in and temper, be a shield of some of those emotions. And I think that if we can control those things that prevent us from proper discourse and understanding, that's going to make us better as a whole, as a community. And that's the way I want to, be known as dealing with stuff, is not adding fuel to the fire, if you will, but listening and finding those commonalities that will bring us together.
Thank you. Cameron, Same question. We live in a time when lies and intolerance have been given new license. And earlier this week, we remembered the great contributions and unfinished work of Martin Luther King. If you could change one aspect of how people treat each other today, what would that change be? And how will you incorporate that approach into your campaign?
So working in a pre-K through 8th grade school for a number of years, I have noticed that Martin Luther King Jr. Is usually presented as a kind unifier who kind of believed that everybody should get along no matter what they look like. And that is all lovely, but in reality, he was an activist, and he was a person who disrupted unjust systems. He wasn't particularly liked when he was alive. I mean, he was killed for it. I think that it is very important to be able to work with people. I know that I have worked with a number of families who my political views or my personal views are very different from. And you work with them for the benefit of the children to make sure that you can reach the goal that you need to reach for the benefit of others. But I also firmly believe that there is no true rational discourse or understanding unless the conversation is based in actual facts and actual science and actual concrete real things. And that is something that is also important to me, because we can't just debate people's opinions on things. We need to debate based on real concepts. But when it comes to treating other people, I am not nearly as cool as Martin Luther King Jr. was, but I do firmly believe in a couple things. One is empathy. That's something I teach to my kids throughout the grade spans, and it can be taught. Then that is the ability to understand or feel what someone else is feeling. And the other big concept is that nobody matters any more or any less than anyone else. Everybody matters. And those sound like pretty benign concepts at face value. But I think that when you are true to them, it can be radical in certain spaces. And I really truly try to live my my life like that. And so of course it would have to be incorporated into the approach to my campaign. The fact that we need to be thinking of others and that nobody matters more than anyone else.
Great. Thank you. And we're actually doing pretty well on the schedule. And we'd have just 2 or 3 minutes apiece to say any imparting thoughts you want to pass on to folks and inform people how they can help your campaign, starting with Cameron.
Oh, cool.
David, you'll close.
I need all the help. I would appreciate anything anyone is able to help me with. I'm gonna put in the chat. Oh, it didn't come out as pretty as I was hoping it would. There's a volunteer sign up in that little blurb. Just for anything that anyone's able to do, I'm more than happy. I will take your money. You could give me seed money or qualifying contributions. You could just follow me, or suggest me to your friends, talk to your people. That's very vague. I'll take any help that you want to give me, please. And thank you. Thanks for this opportunity.
David?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and thank you all for listening to me this evening. And I hope everybody takes the time to learn more about us and what we want to do and what experience we have, and then support us. Like Cameron, I need supporters who are willing to collect signatures, who are willing to help with seed money and qualifying contributions. And I do have an event on Saturday at the Newcastle Fire Station, starting at 10 o'clock. So please join me then to learn more. If you can't make it at 10, I'm staying there till noontime. So please come by and sign a petition. Leave a qualifying contribution behind, or some seed money too, or just tell me how you would like to help out. Or if you're not sure yet, just come and we'll sit down and chat as well. I will put my contact information and a sign-up sheet in the chat for you. So reach out to me, or tell me when to call you. I'll contact you, or just give me a call. I'd love to speak to you and see what your thoughts are, or hear what your thoughts are on this race and what is best for this community. So thank you again for spending an evening with us.
Thank you both. Thank you. This is probably not the most wonderful way to meet people, because we're not all in the same room, and it's harder to get that sense of a person. I hope that our questions and our candidates' answers have given you a little bit of a feeling of what great people they both are. And we will be helping to provide opportunities, as will they, for you to get to know them better and to help their campaigns. All right. Thank you both.